Hi, my loves. Get ready. Today I'm spoiling you with multiple heart racing, butterflies everywhere love stories that will ruin your standards forever. Before we dive in, hit subscribe, smash that like, and comment right now. Your city. What time it is? Single, taken, or it's complicated. I'm reading every single reply with the biggest smile. Now grab your blanket, turn the lights low, because the next few love stories are about to make you fall stupidly, beautifully, hopelessly in love. Let's go. I never thought a single afternoon could change my life forever. My name is Hannah Parker, and I grew up in Willow Creek, Pennsylvania, a small town where everyone knows everyone, and secrets hardly exist. I was the quiet girl in my college, always sitting in corners behind stacks of books, keeping my head down. People often described me as shy, maybe even invisible, which I secretly loved. It was safe, predictable, and peaceful. It was the start of the fall semester at Willow Creek College, and the library had its familiar, comforting smell of books and coffee. I had found my usual spot by the large bay window, a stack of psychology textbooks next to me, headphones on, drowning out the chatter of other students. My world was small, controlled, predictable, until a shadow fell across my desk. "Mind if I sit here?" a voice asked. I looked up, startled. There he was, Ethan Brooks, a junior in literature. His hair was messy, his hazel eyes striking, and his presence immediately made my stomach twist in an unfamiliar, thrilling way. "Oh, sure," I muttered, my voice barely above a whisper. Ethan smiled, a little embarrassed, a little charming, and settled down across from me. We started talking about books, first cautiously, then easily. Something about the way he spoke made me feel like I wasn't invisible anymore. Over the next few days, our casual meetings became more frequent. He would wave at me from the stacks or save a chair for me in the cafe. And slowly, my heart started to recognize a pattern. It was always happier when he was around. One evening, the library was nearly empty, and the golden sunlight of late afternoon streamed in through the tall windows. I was muttering to myself about a difficult passage in Pride and Prejudice when Ethan appeared next to me again. "You know," he said softly, leaning over my shoulder, "I think Jane Austen would be proud of your determination." I blushed, glancing down at my notes. "Thanks, I guess," I murmured, unsure why my heart felt like it was jumping out of my chest. Ethan had a smile that seemed to reach straight into your soul. Without thinking, I looked up at him, and for a brief, magical moment, the library around us disappeared. "Do you want to grab a coffee?" he asked casually, though my heart screamed at me. Coffee. With him. My hands trembled slightly. I'd like that," I whispered. That first coffee date was awkward, clumsy, and yet perfect. I spilled a bit of latte, and instead of teasing, he laughed in a soft, genuine way that made me laugh too. We wandered the quiet streets of Willow Creek afterward, talking about everything and nothing: families, dreams, favorite movies. There was a warmth in his laughter that made me feel like I belonged, like maybe I wasn't as invisible as I thought. Over the next weeks, Ethan and I grew inseparable. He left tiny notes in my backpack, doodles or sweet messages, little reminders that I was on his mind. Every glance, every small touch felt electric. Late-night study sessions became walks under the starlit sky. One night, we found ourselves on the old stone bridge near the creek, the same place where I had spent countless hours alone before meeting him. The water shimmered under the moonlight, and we talked about our dreams: college, life after graduation, traveling the world, and maybe, someday, building a life together. There were moments when my shy heart faltered. I would lie awake in my dorm, thinking about him, wondering if he really felt the same, or if I was just imagining a love that couldn't exist. But Ethan, he had this way of noticing my worries without me saying a word. After that first coffee date, everything seemed different. Suddenly, Willow Creek College didn't feel like the quiet little place it used to be. It was alive, filled with possibilities. Every corridor, every cafe, every library corner held a memory of Ethan. I found myself looking for him, hoping to catch a smile, a word, a simple glance. One crisp October afternoon, he approached me as I was sitting under the old oak tree outside the library, my favorite hiding spot when I needed to escape the chaos of campus life. "Mind some company?" he asked, leaning against the trunk with that easy grin of his. "Of course," I said, closing my notebook. My heart always raced when he was near, though I tried hard to appear calm. We spent the afternoon talking about everything under the sun: music, movies, dreams. I told him about my love for poetry, how words often express the feelings I couldn't speak aloud. He listened, genuinely fascinated, and then read aloud a few of his favorite poems, his voice low and warm. I remember thinking how incredible it was that someone like him, so confident and effortlessly charming, was sitting here with me, an invisible girl from a small town who never expected to be noticed. And yet, he not only noticed me, he saw me. A few days later, Ethan invited me to a late-night campus event, a small concert under the stars by the creek. The lights were strung between trees, casting soft, golden glows on the grass. Students were scattered around, some dancing, some laughing, but it all felt like a quiet bubble where only the two of us existed. We sat side by side, feet brushing, hearts racing in ways I hadn't felt before. He reached for my hand slowly, hesitantly at first, and I intertwined my fingers with his without thinking. The warmth of his hand sent shivers through me, a sensation that made my heart pound like crazy. "Hannah," he whispered, "I feel like I've known you forever, even though I just met you." I swallowed hard, my cheeks burning. "I feel the same," I admitted, my voice barely audible over the music and the gentle sound of the creek nearby. It was then, under the soft lights and the quiet stars, that he leaned in and kissed me. It wasn't rushed or clumsy. It was slow, gentle, and perfect. The world around us melted away, leaving only the two of us suspended in that moment. My chest ached with happiness, a feeling I never knew existed until then. After that night, our relationship deepened effortlessly. Ethan became my anchor in a world that often felt overwhelming. He would leave me little notes in my locker, sometimes just a smiley face, sometimes a quote from a book we both loved. Every message felt like a secret love letter, just for me. We studied together for hours, often laughing at our shared clumsiness with assignments. On rainy days, he would knock on my dorm door, umbrella in hand, insisting we skip class and explore the campus library for old novels and poetry books. We'd get lost between the stacks, reading passages aloud, teasing each other over favorite lines, and slowly, love became an unspoken understanding between us. Ethan had this way of making me feel seen, even when I felt invisible. He noticed the little things: how I tucked my hair behind my ear when nervous, how I always had a cup of chamomile tea at my desk, how I hummed softly while reading. And in noticing me, he made me fall deeper in love with him, more than I thought I could ever love anyone. One weekend, Ethan suggested we take a walk around Willow Creek's outskirts, where the old fields met the dense woods. The air was crisp with the scent of autumn leaves. We walked hand in hand, laughing, talking, and occasionally sitting in silence, just watching the sky turn shades of pink and gold. I never thought life could feel like this, I confessed, my head resting on his shoulder. Like everything is perfect. He kissed the top of my head gently. Life is perfect because you're in it, he said simply. That moment stayed with me, a memory I would carry forever. There was an intimacy in that simplicity, a deep connection that didn't need grand gestures. It was in the touch, the glance, the shared silence. Even in the sweetness of these moments, my shy heart often trembled with fear. I worried about opening up too much, about being too much, about losing him if I showed my true self. But Ethan never pressured me. He gave me the space to grow comfortable in my own skin. One evening, I finally confessed my fears, the little doubts I held about myself, about us, about the future. Hannah, he said, taking my hands in his, I love you, not just the parts you think are perfect, but all of you. Every flaw, every fear. That's what makes you, you. And I wouldn't want you any other way. Tears welled in my eyes, and for the first time, I felt completely safe, completely loved. In his arms, my insecurities melted away, and I realized that true love isn't about perfection. It's about acceptance, trust, and unwavering connection. Winter had started to settle over Willow Creek College. The crisp air carried the scent of pine and the distant smokiness of fireplaces, and the campus was wrapped in a soft blanket of white snow. Ethan and I were more inseparable than ever. Every day, every small moment felt like a treasure. A glance, a shared laugh, a gentle touch. We had created our little world in this small-town college, a cocoon of warmth amid the cold winter air. But as graduation approached, the thought of leaving Willow Creek and stepping into the unknown gnawed at me. One evening, Ethan suggested we go to our favorite spot, the old stone bridge over the creek where so many of our memories had begun. Snowflakes danced gently around us as we walked hand in hand, our boots crunching on the frosted path. Hannah, he began, his voice low, almost hesitant. I've been thinking about us, about everything we've been through, all the moments we've shared. My heart pounded. I could feel the tension and the excitement building. Yes, I whispered, leaning closer to him. I love you, he said simply, taking both of my hands in his. I love you more than I've ever loved anyone. You've changed my life. You make me better, and I can't imagine a future without you. Tears blurred my vision, but they were tears of happiness. I love you too, Ethan, I murmured, my voice trembling with emotion. I always have. I never thought I'd feel this way about anyone. He smiled, brushing a strand of hair from my face. Hannah Parker, he said, dropping to one knee in the snow. I want to spend my life with you. Will you marry me? Time seemed to freeze. The world, the creek, the snow, the twinkling lights along the bridge faded away. My heart leapt, and I felt a warmth unlike anything I had ever known. Yes, I exclaimed, laughing and crying at the same time. Yes, of course I will. Ethan pulled me close, our laughter and tears mingling with the snowflakes falling around us. That moment, that proposal, was the culmination of months of shy glances, gentle touches, first kisses, and late-night conversations. It was proof that true love, even in a small town and among ordinary beginnings, could be extraordinary. Life after college wasn't always easy. Moving to a new city for his first job meant long commutes and adjusting to adult responsibilities. But our love never faltered. We wrote letters when apart, spent weekends exploring new towns, and kept the small rituals that had made our relationship so special. The coffee dates, the walks along quiet paths, the nights reading poetry by the fireplace. Our families grew fond of our bond, often teasing us about our storybook love. But we didn't mind. It was our story, unique in its own quiet way. One rainy afternoon, sitting in our tiny apartment with the smell of fresh coffee filling the air, Ethan leaned over and whispered, "You know, I still get nervous around you. You make my heart race every single day." I laughed, feeling a warmth in my chest. "You make mine race too," I admitted, even after all this time. That's when I realized something important. True love isn't about grand gestures every day. It's about the small, consistent moments that make your heart feel at home. It's the comfort of knowing someone sees you, all of you, and chooses you again and again. Looking back on our journey, I marvel at how far we've come. A shy girl from a small town, a boy I met by chance in the library, and now, a life filled with laughter, love, and shared dreams. Ethan taught me that love doesn't rush, it unfolds. It's patient, kind, and unwavering. It's in the stolen glances across a crowded room, the quiet conversations under starlit skies, and the promises whispered in moments of vulnerability. Even years later, when life throws challenges our way, I close my eyes and remember that first coffee, that first laugh, that first kiss under the autumn stars. I remember the bridge, the snow, the proposal, and every small moment in between. Because true love, I've learned, doesn't just happen in the movies. It grows in quiet corners, blooms in shared smiles, and flourishes in hearts brave enough to trust it. And sometimes, it finds you when you least expect it, changing your life forever, making the world brighter, warmer, and infinitely more beautiful. Ethan and I still walk that old stone bridge when we visit Willow Creek. The snow may have melted, the trees may have grown, but the memories remain, and with them, the enduring magic of a love that began quietly, shyly, and became everything. And that is the story of how I found my forever, in the most unexpected, yet perfect way. My name is Madeline Maddie Collins, and I grew up in Briarwood, Oregon, a tiny town nestled between mountains and forests. Our town was the kind where everyone waves at each other in the streets, and the night sky feels like it belongs just to you. I had always been the girl with her head in the clouds, quite literally. I spent countless nights lying on the rooftop of my parents' old house, gazing at stars and dreaming about faraway worlds. College was a new chapter, but Briarwood College was small, familiar, and comfortable. I loved my astronomy class. It was the one place where my imagination met science, where dreams met reality. I wasn't expecting love to find me there. I had always been shy, cautious, preferring constellations to conversations. But then he walked into my life. His name was Liam Everett, a senior majoring in environmental science. He had an effortless charm, the kind that doesn't need words to leave an impression. The first time I noticed him was during a campus cleanup event. He was helping students plant trees along the creek, his sleeves rolled up, sunlight glinting off his hair, a warm smile on his face. I remember thinking, who is this person who makes even planting saplings look enchanting? Weeks passed, and our paths began to cross more often. We'd bump into each other in the campus cafe, share smiles across the library tables, or end up in the same study groups. There was a quiet magic in his presence, a sense of calm, of warmth, of someone who could see you without words. Our first conversation was accidental. I was sprawled on the grassy hill behind the astronomy building, a notebook in my lap, sketching constellations and jotting star maps. Liam walked by, carrying a stack of books, and accidentally dropped one right near my notebook. "Oh, sorry," he exclaimed, bending to pick it up. "It's okay," I said softly, glancing at him. I had never spoken to him before, but something about his nervous grin made me feel at ease. He noticed my star sketches. "You like astronomy?" he asked, curiosity lighting up his face. I love it," I admitted. "It's peaceful, I guess. Makes everything else seem small." Liam sat down beside me on the grass, keeping a respectful distance. "I've always admired the stars too, but never this closely. Mind if I take a look?" Something clicked then, an unspoken understanding between two souls who shared a love for the infinite. He leaned over my notebook, pointing at constellations he recognized, asking questions, and sharing little-known facts. I found myself laughing, explaining, and suddenly realizing how much I wanted him to stay. Over the next few weeks, Liam and I began meeting regularly, under the guise of astronomy assignments or random coincidences. He'd find me lying on that same hill, sketching, and ask if he could join. We'd talk about planets, stars, black holes, and the impossibilities of space, but always somehow drift back to personal stories. Our childhoods, dreams, fears, silly habits. I was cautious, naturally shy, but with Liam, my defenses softened. He had a way of listening that made me feel like the universe had carved a space just for me. My heart fluttered every time he laughed, every time he brushed his fingers against mine by accident, every time he held the telescope steady while I squinted at distant galaxies. One clear night, after a particularly long lab session, he invited me to the campus observatory. The telescope stood tall against the dark sky, the world beyond glittering with stars. He adjusted it for me, guiding my hands gently. "You're amazing," he whispered softly as I leaned close to see the distant rings of Saturn. His voice was warm, and for a brief second, I forgot about the constellations, the stars, the world. I only saw him. That night, walking back down the hill under a sky ablaze with stars, I realized I was falling in love. Not just a fleeting crush, but a deep, all-consuming, small-town kind of love that made my chest ache and my heart race all at once. After that first encounter on the grassy hill, Liam and I began to find ourselves together more often, almost like the universe had aligned our paths. He had a way of appearing when I least expected it, sometimes by the library, sometimes by the campus cafe, or just as I was heading to my astronomy class. Each time, my heart leapt, a warm fluttering that made me giddy and nervous all at once. One chilly October evening, Liam invited me to join him for a late-night stargazing session. I hesitated for a moment. After all, who stays out that late on a college campus in small-town Oregon? But the thought of spending hours with him was irresistible. We walked up to the Briarwood Observatory Hill, carrying a telescope, a blanket, and a thermos of hot chocolate. The night was crisp, the kind that makes your cheeks pink and your breath visible in tiny clouds. Liam spread the blanket on the ground and gestured for me to sit. "Tonight, I want to show you something special," he said, his eyes sparkling with a mix of excitement and nerves. As he adjusted the telescope, he pointed out constellations, planets, and distant galaxies. But every so often, he would glance at me, smiling in that way that made my chest ache. There was an intimacy in our shared silence, in the way our hands occasionally brushed as he guided my fingers along the telescope controls. "I never thought I'd meet someone who loves the stars as much as I do," he murmured, his voice soft. I felt my face warm. I've always felt connected to them. They make me feel like anything is possible. He turned toward me, his expression gentle, his hand brushing against mine. "Maddie, you make me feel like that too, like anything is possible." Hours passed as we sat under the endless sky, talking about life, dreams, and the small wonders that often went unnoticed. Eventually, we lay on the blanket, shoulders touching, staring up at constellations in comfortable silence. "You know," Liam whispered, "I think the universe brought us together." I chuckled softly, my heart beating faster than ever. "I think it did." Then, he leaned closer, his lips brushing mine for the first time. The kiss was slow, tender, and infinitely sweet, sending a shiver through my entire body. The world seemed to disappear. No campus, no observatory, no other students. Just him, me, and the endless stars above. Pulling back slightly, we laughed softly, faces flushed, hearts racing. "I think I could get used to this," I murmured, resting my head against his shoulder. He smiled, holding me close. "Me too, Maddie. Me too." After that night, our relationship deepened effortlessly. Liam would leave little notes in my books, sometimes a quote from a starry poem, sometimes just a doodle of a tiny planet with my initials inside. We discovered that love, even in a small-town college, could be extraordinary when paired with care, patience, and understanding. We spent weekends exploring Briarwood, taking long walks along the forest trails, picnicking by the small river, and sometimes just sitting on rooftops, watching the night sky unfold above us. Each moment with him made my heart feel lighter, my world brighter. There were still moments of vulnerability. My shy nature often made me question myself, my worth, and whether someone like Liam could truly care for a quiet, daydreaming girl like me. But Liam's patience and gentle understanding always reassured me. One rainy afternoon, he showed up at my dorm with a thermos of hot chocolate and a mischievous grin. "I know it's raining, but I have an idea for a little indoor adventure," he said. We spent hours building a fort out of blankets and pillows in my room, sipping chocolate, telling stories, and laughing until our cheeks hurt. It was silly, childish, and perfect. That was the beauty of us. No pretense, just shared moments, laughter, and love that grew stronger each day. Winter had painted Briarwood in shades of white, frosting the trees and rooftops with delicate snow. Liam and I had grown inseparable, spending nearly every free moment together. From stargazing on the hills to quiet afternoons in the library, he had become my anchor in a world that often felt overwhelming. But as graduation approached, the looming question of the future weighed heavily on my mind. Would our love survive the transition into the real world? Would we be able to keep this magical connection alive beyond college? Liam, as always, seemed to sense my worry. One evening, he suggested we take a walk up to Observatory Hill, our favorite stargazing spot. The sky was clear, stars sparkling like diamonds, and a gentle breeze carried the crisp scent of winter pine. I wrapped my scarf tightly, feeling both excitement and nerves as we climbed the hill hand in hand. When we reached the top, Liam spread out a blanket and gestured for me to sit. "Maddie," he began softly, "there's something I want to tell you." My heart raced. "What is it?" I whispered, already sensing the gravity of the moment. He knelt in front of me, snow crunching beneath his boots, eyes glistening under the starlight. "These past months, being with you has changed my life. You've made me laugh, dream, and see the world differently. I don't want a day to go by without you in my life." I felt tears prick my eyes, my heart pounding so fast I could barely breathe. "Liam, I feel the same. You've opened my heart in ways I didn't know were possible." A gentle smile spread across his face. "Then, Maddie Collins, will you be my forever? Will you marry me?" Time seemed to stand still. The stars twinkled above us, silent witnesses to the most important moment of my life. I could hardly contain my joy, my laughter blending with tears. "Yes, yes, of course!" I cried, throwing my arms around him. He lifted me into a warm embrace, holding me close as the snowflakes danced around us. In that moment, the worries of the future melted away. There was only us, the stars, and the love that had grown quietly, patiently, and beautifully between us. Moving beyond Briarwood for our first jobs was daunting, but our love remained unwavering. We wrote letters when apart, sent late-night messages about mundane things, and visited small observatories and starlit hills whenever we could. Our rituals, the coffee dates, the stargazing, the quiet walks through town, kept our love strong and grounded. We laughed at our storybook romance, often joking with friends and family about our small-town origins and how the universe seemed to conspire to bring us together. But it was no joke to us. It was the reality of our shared hearts, the proof that true love thrives in patience, understanding, and countless small moments. One evening, back at Briarwood for a reunion, we found ourselves once again atop Observatory Hill. Liam turned to me, holding my hand in his, and whispered, "Even after all this time, I still get lost in you." I smiled, feeling warmth in my chest that only he could evoke. "And I still get lost in you," I replied softly. It was in these moments, under the same stars that had first witnessed our connection, that I understood the essence of our love. True love isn't just fireworks and grand gestures. It's in the quiet, steady, enduring moments. Walking hand in hand in the cold, sharing dreams in whispers, holding someone when life feels heavy, and laughing when it feels light. Liam had taught me that love is infinite, like the universe we both adored. It doesn't demand perfection. It thrives in acceptance, patience, and choosing each other every single day. And so, beneath the star-filled sky of our small-town college, surrounded by the world we loved, we promised forever to each other. Not just in words, but in every heartbeat, every glance, every touch. Because sometimes, love finds you quietly, patiently, and with a force that can illuminate even the darkest nights. And in Liam, I had found my brightest star, my home, my forever. My name is Sophie Mitchell, and I grew up in Maplewood, New Jersey. A quaint town where the streets are lined with red brick houses, coffee shops on every corner, and the smell of rain mixing with fresh pastries in the mornings. I had always been the girl who loved quiet moments, reading novels by the window, journaling my thoughts, and watching the world move around me with gentle curiosity. College life at Maplewood Community College was exciting, but I often felt lost in the crowd. That is, until the rainy day that changed everything. It was the first week of spring semester, and the sky had opened up, drenching the campus in relentless rain. I dashed from my dorm to the campus cafe, clutching my umbrella that had flipped twice in the wind. I was soaked, miserable, and desperate for caffeine. As I stepped inside, shaking droplets from my coat, I noticed him immediately. Evan Carter, a junior studying graphic design. He was sitting by the window, sketching in his notebook, rain streaking down the glass behind him. There was something magnetic about the way he concentrated, the curve of his smile as he worked, and the way the light hit his hair. Our eyes met briefly, and I felt that strange flutter in my chest, the one that made your stomach do flips without warning. He smiled at me, small and shy, and gestured to the empty chair across from him. "Mind if I join you?" I asked, trying to sound casual, though my voice wobbled slightly. "Not at all," he replied, his voice warm and gentle, making me instantly feel at ease. We talked about everything and nothing: classes, favorite books, the absurdity of rainy college days, and the struggle to keep umbrellas from flipping inside out. I found myself laughing more than I had in weeks, his easy humor and kind eyes drawing me in without me even realizing it. After that day, our meetings became almost serendipitous. Sometimes he would find me sitting by the cafe window, reading, and offer to sketch me in his notebook. Other times, we'd end up in the same study hall, sharing notes, joking about professors, and discovering shared interests we hadn't noticed before. What drew me to Evan wasn't just his smile or his laugh, it was his attentiveness, the way he noticed details most people overlooked. How I twirled a strand of hair when nervous, how I doodled tiny hearts in the margins of my notebook, or how I always ordered the same vanilla latte without fail. One afternoon, after a particularly long lecture on design theory, he asked me to join him for a walk despite the lingering drizzle. We wandered through the campus garden, raindrops clinging to the petals of spring flowers. He held his umbrella over both of us, occasionally brushing against my hand in the most natural, comforting way. "Maplewood has a way of making rainy days feel magical," he said softly, looking at me with a warmth that made my chest ache. I smiled shyly. "I think I might agree," I whispered, realizing that it wasn't just the rain that felt magical. It was being with him. Days turned into weeks, and our friendship deepened effortlessly into something more. We spent rainy afternoons in the campus cafe, our laptops open, but our attention on each other. We exchanged playlists, discovered shared favorite movies, and teased each other relentlessly about silly things. There was a comfort in Evan's presence that I had never felt before. Even when he was silent, just sitting beside me, my heart felt full. And slowly, without either of us saying it aloud, the unspoken understanding grew. This was more than friendship. One late evening, the campus was empty, the rain falling softly against the windows. Evan had invited me to join him in the art studio to see his latest project. As I walked in, he looked up from his sketches, eyes lighting up. "Sophie," he said softly. I've been hoping you'd come. My heart fluttered. I wouldn't miss it, I replied, walking closer. He showed me his work, delicate, beautiful sketches of people caught in small, intimate moments. Then, unexpectedly, he handed me a sketch of me, sitting by the cafe window, hair damp from rain, eyes focused on a book. My breath caught. I wanted to capture how I see you, he said, cheeks slightly pink. I looked up at him, unable to speak, feeling my chest swell with a feeling I had never known before. That was when I realized I was falling for him, deeply, completely, in the quiet, small-town way that made every heartbeat matter. After that first rainy day meeting at the cafe, Evan and I seemed to find each other everywhere, almost as if the universe was conspiring to keep our paths intertwined. He had this effortless charm, a warmth that made even the gloomiest days feel bright. And slowly, I realized that my heart no longer belonged just to me. It was quietly, irrevocably his. One afternoon, the sky turned gray and heavy with rain. I groaned, knowing I had a long walk to class, but my mood lifted when I saw Evan waiting outside the library with an umbrella. "Need a ride?" he asked, grinning. I guess I could use one, I admitted, feeling my cheeks heat up. We walked under the umbrella, the rain pattering softly around us. It was one of those small-town moments that felt cinematic. The wet cobblestone paths, leaves glistening with raindrops, and the comforting weight of his hand brushing against mine. "Maplewood in the rain. It has a charm, doesn't it?" he said softly. I smiled, glancing at him. "Yeah, especially with you around." From that day, our days together became filled with little moments of teasing and affection. During study sessions, he would sneak his hand to brush mine, or gently bump my shoulder with his while laughing at some silly joke. I would retaliate with exaggerated rolling of my eyes or playful nudges, but every touch, every glance made my heart flutter uncontrollably. One rainy Saturday, he invited me to join him in a campus scavenger hunt his friends were organizing. I hesitated. Public events and groups of people weren't really my comfort zone. But he looked at me with those hazel eyes, warm and encouraging. "Come on, Sophie. It'll be fun. And I want you on my team," he said. I couldn't resist him. We ended up racing around campus, drenched from head to toe, laughing until our stomachs hurt. At one point, he tripped slightly and fell into a puddle, pulling me down with him. We ended up sitting in the wet grass, soaked, muddy, and laughing uncontrollably. "You're insane," I said, breathless. "And you love it," he teased, winking. I felt a spark, something electric, as our eyes met. That spark turned into something undeniable, a magnetic pull neither of us could ignore. One quiet evening, after the rain had stopped, Evan invited me for a walk along Maplewood Creek, the path lit by soft lampposts and the reflection of wet cobblestones. We walked side by side, sometimes in comfortable silence, sometimes sharing small talk, our hands brushing occasionally. We stopped at a small wooden bridge, the water glimmering beneath us. He turned to me, his expression earnest, eyes locked on mine. "Sophie, I need to tell you something," he said softly. My heart skipped. "What is it?" I whispered. I think I'm falling for you. Deeply, more than I ever expected," he confessed, his voice trembling slightly. I felt my chest tighten with happiness. I feel the same," I admitted, my voice barely audible. Then, without another word, he leaned in slowly. Our lips met in a soft, tentative kiss, growing steadier and more certain as seconds passed. The world around us, Maplewood, The creek, the lamplight, faded away. There was only him, me, and the undeniable connection that had been building quietly for weeks. When we finally pulled apart, laughing softly and cheeks flushed, I rested my head on his shoulder. I think this, us, is just the beginning, I murmured. He held me close, smiling. Yes, Sophie, the beginning of something beautiful. After that night, our relationship blossomed effortlessly. We spent afternoons in the cafe, sipping hot chocolate and sharing stories, evenings walking through rain-soaked streets, and quiet nights in our dorms, just talking, laughing, and dreaming together. Evan had a way of noticing the little things. How I always tucked a strand of hair behind my ear, how I hummed softly when nervous, and how I always ordered the same vanilla latte. And in noticing, he made me feel cherished, adored, and completely safe in his love. Spring had fully arrived in Maplewood, and the campus was alive with cherry blossoms and the soft hum of students walking between classes. Evan and I had grown inseparable. From rainy day cafe meetings to midnight walks along the creek, our love had deepened in ways I never imagined possible. But as graduation approached, a bittersweet feeling settled over me. What would happen after Maplewood Community College? Would we part ways, or would our love survive the leap into the real world? One evening, Evan suggested we visit Maplewood Creek, our favorite place during rainy nights, even though the sky was clear. The bridge where we shared our first kiss felt like sacred ground, holding the memories of our quiet, magical moments. I've been thinking, he said softly, holding my hand as we walked along the wet cobblestone path, about everything. Us. The future. My heart pounded. What about it? I whispered. He stopped, turning to face me, eyes shimmering with emotion. Sophie Mitchell, these past months with you have been the happiest of my life. You've made every rainy day brighter, every ordinary moment extraordinary. I don't want to imagine a life without you. Tears welled in my eyes. Evan, I feel the same. I can't imagine life without you either. He took a deep breath, reaching into his pocket. Then let's make this forever, he said, dropping to one knee on the wet cobblestones. He held out a small, delicate ring, shimmering under the soft lamplight. Will you marry me? Time seemed to stop. The creek glimmered softly behind us, the campus lights reflecting on the water, and I felt my heart overflow with joy. Yes, I will, I cried, throwing my arms around him. Evan lifted me into a warm embrace, spinning me slightly as we laughed and cried together. In that moment, the world around us disappeared. There was only us, and the undeniable love that had been quietly growing for months. Life beyond Maplewood was a new adventure. Evan and I moved to a nearby city for his first design job, while I pursued my writing and dreams. Even with new responsibilities and challenges, our love remained steadfast. We continued our little rituals, coffee dates, rainy walks, stargazing, and quiet evenings talking about life. Every anniversary, we returned to Maplewood Creek, sitting on the bridge where our hearts first connected. We would laugh, reminisce, and marvel at how our love had grown, how two ordinary college students from a small town had found something extraordinary in each other. Evan had taught me that love isn't just about grand gestures or dramatic confessions. It's in the small, everyday moments. The hand brushing against yours, the soft laugh across the table, the quiet presence when words aren't needed. Love thrives in patience, understanding, and unwavering trust. Even years later, when life gets hectic, I close my eyes and remember That rainy day in the cafe, our playful adventures, the first kiss on the bridge, and the proposal that made the world feel infinitely bright. Those moments remind me that true love doesn't just exist in stories. It grows quietly, patiently, and fully in hearts brave enough to embrace it. And in Evan, I had found not only love, but home, laughter, and the promise of forever. My name is Olivia Harper, and I grew up in Ashwood, Vermont, a small town with winding roads, maple trees lining the streets, and the sweet scent of blooming flowers in the summer. I've always loved music. My guitar has been my constant companion, the one thing that makes the world fall into rhythm whenever life feels chaotic. Starting college at Ashwood State College was a dream come true, but I never imagined I would meet someone who would make my heart skip a beat in ways that no song ever could. It was the first week of summer semester, and the campus courtyard was alive with laughter, music, and the soft hum of summer festivals. I was sitting under a large oak tree, strumming my guitar, and quietly practicing a song I had been writing for weeks. The chords felt familiar, comforting, a private escape in the midst of all the chaos around me. That's when I noticed him, Nathan Brooks, a sophomore majoring in music production. He had a carefree vibe, carrying a backpack slung over one shoulder, earbuds in, bobbing his head to some tune I couldn't hear. But then our eyes met, and something shifted. "Hey," he said, walking over, a shy smile tugging at his lips. "That sounds amazing. Are you performing at the Summerfest?" I shook my head, my fingers pausing mid-strum. "Oh no, just practicing," I admitted, feeling my cheeks warm. "You have a really nice touch with the guitar," he said genuinely. "Mind if I listen for a bit?" Something about his sincerity made me nod. He sat down on the grass, careful not to get too close, and I continued playing. With each chord, I noticed him swaying slightly, tapping his foot, completely absorbed. I realized I was enjoying this more than I expected, having someone actually hear me, not just the music, but me. After a few songs, he clapped softly. "Seriously, Olivia, you're incredible. I've been around music my whole life, but your playing, it's something else." I felt my chest tighten, a flutter of excitement. "Thanks, Nathan. That means a lot." We began talking about music, of course, favorite artists, songwriting tricks, and late-night jam sessions. But soon, our conversation drifted to life in Ashwood, favorite childhood memories, and dreams for the future. There was an ease in talking to him, a natural rhythm, much like music itself. Over the next week, Nathan and I kept finding reasons to meet. Sometimes he would join me under the oak tree. Sometimes I would catch him at the music studio. And occasionally, we'd bump into each other at the campus cafe, exchanging shy smiles and casual greetings that left my heart racing. One evening, he invited me to a small rooftop jam session with a few friends. I hesitated, unsure about performing in front of an audience, but the sparkle in his eyes convinced me. That night, under strings of warm lights, I played my song, and Nathan sat beside me, playing his guitar in harmony. Our music intertwined seamlessly, and I felt a strange, magical connection forming, one that went beyond chords and melodies. By the end of the night, our fingers brushed while tuning the guitars, and I felt my heart leap uncontrollably. I realized that what was blossoming between us wasn't just friendship. It was something deeper, something undeniably romantic. After that first rooftop jam, Nathan and I began spending more time together, often under the guise of music practice. It started innocently enough. He would ask for help with chord progressions. I would ask for tips on timing, but soon, every meeting became about us, about laughter, shared glances, and stolen moments that made my heart race. One lazy summer afternoon, Nathan invited me to join him in the campus music room. The air was warm, sun filtering through the tall windows, instruments scattered around, and the faint smell of old wood filling the space. "Olivia, I want to show you something I've been working on," he said, excitement in his voice. He played a soft melody on the piano, delicate and intimate, a song that seemed to echo the fluttering of my heart. I watched him, captivated, feeling a strange thrill in every note. Then he gestured for me to pick up my guitar. "Let's play together," he said. And we did. Our music intertwined, not just in chords and rhythm, but in energy, in unspoken emotions. Every glance, every accidental brush of our hands sent tiny sparks down my spine. By the end of the session, we were laughing, cheeks flushed, hearts pounding. Nathan had a way of making even the most ordinary moments feel extraordinary. He would tease me endlessly about how I hummed when concentrating, or how dramatically I strummed certain chords. I would retaliate by pretending to play wrong notes on purpose, making him laugh until his shoulders shook. One day, he dared me to perform an impromptu song on the campus lawn. My face burned with embarrassment, but he insisted, gently holding my hand as we stepped into the sunlight. I played, and he harmonized on his guitar. And for a few magical minutes, the entire campus faded away. There was only music, laughter, and the quiet electricity between us. Afterward, as we sat under a tree catching our breath, his hand brushed against mine. I didn't pull away. Instead, I let it linger, my heart leaping at the warmth and the closeness. One evening, Nathan asked me to meet him on the college rooftop again. The sky was painted in shades of orange and pink, the sun setting behind the hills. We sat with our guitars, strumming quietly, not needing words. "You know, Olivia," he said softly, his gaze lingering on me, "I've been wanting to tell you something for a while." I turned to him, heart fluttering. "What is it?" He leaned closer, his voice a gentle whisper. I think I'm falling for you. Completely." My chest tightened with happiness. "Nathan?" "I feel the same," I whispered, barely able to contain the warmth in my heart. Then he leaned in slowly. Our lips met in a soft, tentative kiss, growing steadier as seconds passed. The world around us, the rooftop, the sunset, the distant hills, vanished. There was only him, me, and the connection that had been quietly building through music, laughter, and shared dreams. When we finally pulled apart, we laughed softly, both a little breathless. "I guess this is the start of something beautiful," I said, resting my head on his shoulder. "Definitely," he murmured, holding me close. After that rooftop kiss, our relationship blossomed effortlessly. We spent countless afternoons composing songs together, late nights practicing new melodies, and quiet mornings sipping coffee by the campus fountain. Each moment, small and ordinary, felt extraordinary because it was shared with him. Nathan had a way of noticing the tiniest details. How I always twirled a strand of hair when nervous, how I hummed softly when thinking, and how my eyes lit up when talking about music. And in noticing, he made me feel seen, cherished, and completely safe in our love. Summer had fully taken over Ashwood. and the campus was alive with festivals, music events, and the hum of life in full swing. Nathan and I had grown inseparable, our days filled with music, laughter, and quiet moments that made my heart feel endlessly full. But as the semester neared its end, I felt that bittersweet pang of change. Graduation, future plans, and the possibility of leaving Ashwood weighed heavily on my mind. Would our love survive the next chapter? Or would it remain a beautiful memory of college days? One evening, Nathan invited me to the rooftop of the music building, our favorite spot, under the pretense of playing a new song he had written. As I arrived, I noticed the rooftop had been decorated with fairy lights, small candles flickering in jars, and a soft blanket spread out on the floor. My heart skipped, sensing something extraordinary. "Olivia," he said, taking my hand and guiding me to sit beside him, "these past months with you have been the happiest of my life. You've turned every ordinary day into something magical, every song into a memory I'll cherish forever." I felt tears prick my eyes, warmth flooding my chest. "Nathan, I feel the same. You've made every moment unforgettable." He took a deep breath and reached into his pocket, pulling out a small velvet box. My hands trembled slightly as I realized what was about to happen. "Olivia Harper, will you make me the happiest man alive? Will you marry me?" Time seemed to pause. The glow of the fairy lights, the soft flicker of candlelight, and the warm summer breeze all faded into the background as I felt my heart leap. "Yes! Yes, of course!" I cried, throwing my arms around him. Nathan lifted me into a warm embrace, spinning slightly as we laughed, kissed, and held each other close. The rooftop became our private universe, a place where love, music, and dreams intertwined. Moving beyond Ashwood for our first jobs was an adventure, but our love remained unwavering. Nathan continued with his music career, while I pursued writing and songwriting. Despite the new challenges and responsibilities, we kept our rituals alive: rooftop jam sessions, spontaneous music nights, and quiet walks under the stars. Every anniversary, we returned to the rooftop where he proposed. There, under the soft glow of lights and the lingering scent of summer air, we reminisced about the journey that had brought us together. Two small-town college students whose love had grown quietly, patiently, and beautifully. Nathan had taught me that true love is not just about grand gestures. It's in the everyday moments: the brush of a hand, the shared laughter, the quiet understanding, and the unwavering presence when life gets messy. Love thrives in attention, patience, and in choosing each other every single day. Even years later, I remember that first rooftop jam, our playful music battles, the sunset kiss, and the magical proposal that turned my life upside down in the most wonderful way. Those memories remind me that true love is real. It grows quietly, deeply, and endlessly in hearts brave enough to embrace it. And in Nathan, I had found not only love, but a lifelong partner, my muse, and the melody of my forever. My name is Chloe Bennett, and I grew up in Willow Creek, Pennsylvania, a picturesque town where autumn paints the streets in shades of amber, gold, and crimson. I've always been a quiet girl. Books were my escape, and the library was my sanctuary. Starting college at Willow Creek University was both exciting and intimidating. The campus was alive with students bustling between classes, the scent of coffee drifting from cafes, and leaves crunching underfoot with every step. One crisp October afternoon, I was tucked into a corner of the library, nose buried in a historical fiction novel, when I noticed him, Ethan Carter, a senior majoring in literature. He had messy dark hair, glasses perched on his nose, and a calm, intelligent aura that immediately drew me in. He was flipping through a thick book, occasionally jotting notes, completely absorbed. Our eyes met briefly when he glanced up and caught me staring. I quickly looked away, cheeks warming, but to my surprise, he smiled. A small, genuine smile that made my heart skip. A few minutes later, he approached my table. "Hey, I noticed you were reading The Forgotten Pages. That's one of my favorites. Mind if I join you?" I blinked, startled but intrigued. Sure," I said softly, moving my bag slightly to make space. Ethan and I began talking about the book, our favorite characters and plot twists we loved. He had a way of discussing literature that made it feel alive, and I found myself laughing and sharing my thoughts freely. A rarity for a girl usually lost in her own world. After that day, I noticed we kept bumping into each other at the library, in the campus cafe, or during literature classes. Each encounter felt natural, effortless, and comforting. We started sharing recommendations, whispering excitedly over new releases, and sometimes simply enjoying the silent comfort of sitting together, surrounded by shelves of books. One rainy evening, Ethan invited me to a quiet corner of the library to discuss an upcoming literature assignment. The storm outside made the room cozy, the warm glow of the lamps, the soft patter of rain against the windows, and the quiet hum of pages turning. "Chloe," he said softly, "I feel like I could actually talk to you about anything. I don't usually get this connection with people." I felt my chest tighten, warmth spreading through me. I I feel the same, Ethan. You make it easy." From that day, our friendship blossomed into something more. Our shared love of books, quiet afternoons, and soft library whispers became the foundation of a growing romance, delicate but undeniable. After our first cozy meeting in the library, Ethan and I began spending more time together. Sometimes it was a quiet corner at Willow Creek University's library. Other times, it was a walk through campus under the vibrant autumn leaves. Each encounter was effortless, each laugh shared, and every soft glance felt like a heartbeat in sync with mine. One crisp afternoon, Ethan invited me to the campus botanical garden. The maples and oaks were ablaze with gold and red, leaves crunching beneath our feet. He had brought along a small blanket and thermoses of hot chocolate, insisting we have a little literary picnic together. "I thought we could read together," he said with a playful grin, "and maybe discuss which plot twist in The Forgotten Pages made us cry the most." I laughed, feeling warmth not just from the hot chocolate, but from his presence. Sitting close, sharing our favorite passages, we were wrapped in a quiet intimacy, the kind that doesn't need words, but thrives on shared glances and gentle touches. Ethan had this mischievous streak that made ordinary moments feel magical. He would sneakily peek at the book I was reading and mimic dramatic voices of characters, making me laugh until my cheeks hurt. I retaliated by hiding bookmarks or pretending to misquote lines, and he would roll his eyes, smiling, clearly enjoying our playful banter. One particularly windy afternoon, a gust blew a pile of leaves across the path, sending Ethan tumbling slightly. I grabbed his arm to steady him, and we both ended up laughing as leaves swirled around us. In that moment, I realized how deeply my heart had started to care for him. Each accidental brush of hands, every laugh, every shared moment was weaving a bond I couldn't ignore. It happened on a late October evening, after the library had quieted down and the campus was bathed in the soft orange glow of the setting sun. Ethan and I walked through the path lined with amber leaves, crunching beneath our feet. "Chloe," he whispered, slowing his pace as he turned to face me, eyes warm and earnest. "I've been wanting to tell you. I think I'm falling for you. Completely." My chest tightened, a flutter of nerves and excitement flooding me. "Ethan, I feel the same," I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. He leaned in slowly, and our lips met in a soft, hesitant kiss. The world around us, the autumn leaves, the glowing campus, the faint rustle of the trees, faded into the background. There was only him, me, and the quiet certainty that had been growing for weeks. When we pulled apart, we laughed softly, hearts pounding, sharing a quiet moment of pure connection. "I guess this is the start of something beautiful," I murmured. "Definitely," he replied, holding me close as the leaves danced around us in the gentle evening breeze. After that first kiss, our relationship deepened effortlessly. We shared afternoons reading together in the library, quiet evenings walking through campus paths, and playful debates over literature and poetry. Each moment, no matter how small, felt monumental because it was shared. Ethan noticed every tiny detail about me. How my eyes lit up when I read a favorite passage, how I tucked hair behind my ear when nervous, and how I smiled softly when I felt understood. In his attention, I felt cherished, safe, and loved in a way that made my heart soar. As the fall semester reached its peak, Willow Creek University was alive with vibrant colors, crisp air, and the soft hum of students preparing for finals. Ethan and I had grown inseparable. Our days were filled with laughter, quiet library moments, and walks through streets lined with amber leaves. But with graduation approaching, I felt the familiar pang of worry. What would happen after college? Would our love survive the next chapter? Or was it destined to remain a beautiful memory of small-town college days? One evening, Ethan asked me to meet him at the Willow Creek Botanical Garden, the place where we had spent our first autumn afternoon together. When I arrived, I noticed that he had decorated a small gazebo with fairy lights and scattered autumn leaves, creating a warm, intimate space amidst the crisp fall air. My heart skipped a beat. "Chloe," he began, taking my hand gently, "these months with you have been the happiest of my life. You've turned ordinary days into extraordinary memories, and every moment with you feels like home." Tears welled up in my eyes as I whispered, "Ethan, I feel the same. You've made every day unforgettable." He knelt down on one knee, holding a small velvet box, the fairy lights casting a soft glow over his face. "Chloe Bennett, will you make me the happiest man alive? Will you marry me?" Time seemed to pause. The rustling leaves, the crisp fall air, the glow of the lights all faded into the background as my heart leapt. "Yes, yes, of course," I cried, throwing my arms around him. Ethan lifted me into a tight embrace, spinning me slightly as we laughed and kissed, surrounded by the golden glow of autumn leaves. In that moment, the world disappeared. We were only us, and the love that had grown quietly but powerfully through shared books, whispered stories, and soft touches. After graduation, we moved to a nearby city, pursuing our dreams while keeping our rituals alive. Ethan continued with his career in literature and writing workshops, while I focused on my passion for storytelling and publishing. Even with new responsibilities, our love remained strong. We held on to the small things: morning coffee dates, cozy autumn walks, and quiet evenings reading together. Every anniversary, we returned to the Willow Creek Botanical Garden. There, under the soft glow of fairy lights and surrounded by falling leaves, we remembered our journey from library whispers to the first kiss beneath autumn skies to the proposal that made everything real. Those moments reminded us that true love grows quietly, patiently, and fully in hearts brave enough to embrace it. Ethan had taught me that love isn't just in grand gestures. It's in the everyday moments: the brush of a hand, the shared laughter, and the quiet understanding that you are home with each other. Even years later, I remember our first library encounter, the autumn walks, the playful teasing, and the magical proposal in the garden. In Ethan, I had found not only love, but a lifelong companion, a best friend, and the promise of forever.